Finally, the closer look at the Rivian R1S video that I've been teasing you all about. Got some time, I got my notes with me. We're going to be talking about many different things that I've noticed in the little over 2 months of ownership with the 2025 Rivian R1S dual motor performance with the 22-inch Sport Bright wheels and tires. But first, I wanted to mention a mistake I did in the service video where I mentioned that Enterprise gave me a Tesla Model Y loaner because Rivian ran out of loaners, that the Supercharging was free. That is a mistake. I actually got billed for like $85, but contacting Rivian because of all the misunderstanding, because I'm pretty sure a couple of people told me it was included. Otherwise, I would have just charged at home. I didn't need to supercharge in public or anything like that, but they're gonna go and reimburse me on that. But apologies for that mistake. You do not have free supercharging if you get an Enterprise rental that is a Tesla from Rivian. The only charging you get, from my understanding, is if they give you a Rivian loaner, then the Rivian Adventure Network charging is included. Okay, so back to this video. There's a couple of different things I wanted to talk about. I want to share with you all my likes, my dislikes, everything in between, and some things I want them to improve. So the color I really like, it's Glacier white on the exterior with Ocean Coast interior. Most of our EVs, we've always picked white for the Tesla simply because it was the free color, but the white is actually a really nice color. The Model Y Juniper, we actually had to pay $1,000 for the pearl white, but they had a promotion. If we buy from inventory, then it was free. The other color that I had, the previous Rivian, it was limestone, which is another beautiful color. But I wanted to go back to the white, the Glacier white with the R1S. For the interior, I really love the Ocean Coast interior. For the dual motor, the accents are these darker ones. These are, it kind of shows like a green on certain angles, but it's like a dark gray. And it's not really a white. It's like a silver, like a light silver. But yeah, I love this color. The Rivian R1T I had previously was the dark color, and the headliner and everything was also dark. This one has a matching headliner color. But yeah, I like this color, plus like these edges right here, the line for the contrast. Yeah, I like it. Now there is another color. It's like a brown, like walnut color, but it's only available, I believe, in the tri-motor and the quad motor, and those are really nice too. The door panel colors are nice. Yeah, I just like it. Ocean Coast does have the dark wood right here. Has the yellow bronze gold accents too. And on the handles, headrest. And with these seats, I just like this. Look at that, it just says Rivian right there. I like the seat design too. So it's not just a plain looking thing. Yeah, I like the design. Can't talk enough about it. For the wheels and tires, we have the 22-inch Sport Bright 275 50 22. You can get a dark out package where these are darker along with the emblems and everything, but I just didn't feel like it was worth paying the extra money. You could probably get it cheaper if you do it aftermarket. Thinking about wrapping it, but we'll see. But yeah, I want to talk more about these wheels in another section of the video, but that's what it comes with. These are Pirelli Scorpion MS. These are all season tires. Now this is a 3-row SUV. You have 2 seats in the front, bench seat in the second row where 3 people could sit, and you have 2 seats on the third row for a total of 7 seats. For me, this is a larger vehicle than our previous Model X. This is one of the big reasons why we got this car. Not only when the 3-row seats are up, we still have a good amount of storage in the back. Rivian's able to do this because the back, it goes all the way across. The roof line goes all the way across, whereas in the Model X, it slants down. One of the reasons why they do that is for aerodynamics, I guess, and to improve efficiency, but at the cost of space. When we go road tripping, we not only bring people, but we bring luggages and suitcases and bags and stuff. So sure, the car has room for people, but you also have to consider the things that you have to bring. So, third row space, I'm actually surprised of, I guess, how big it is. I'm gonna go ahead and insert this clip. I went and hung out with Butter and Cobra, and they're over 6 feet tall. Butter's like 6'3", and Cobra's 6 feet tall. And I didn't even notice this until they actually sat back there, because I brought the car to them when it was brand new and we were just hanging out. But check out this clip. Look, this is how big the R1S is. We got 2 6-footers back there. 2 6-footers. We got Cobra and Butter EV.
We comfortable too.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh man, okay. Oh shoot. Yeah, but I don't know how many. Well, yeah, I could probably fit here. Hold on, let me see.
So that seats in your configurations.
Yep. Okay. I mean, my knee is hitting, and you were sitting in the.
Go back a little.
You want me to go back more?
Go back a little bit, just a little bit. Let's see how.
Shit, I don't even know how to.
No, the front bar.
Oh, is it this?
Yeah.
I don't sit back here. How's that?
Yeah, see?
Yeah. Still good?
I fit.
Oh yeah, this is more than enough space for me. Oh yeah, see? There it is.
Yeah.
2'6". Actually, Butter's 6'3", right?
6'2".
6'2". Cobra's in even 6 feet. 6-footer. And I'm 6 feet, 6 feet -7 inches. So I'm 6 feet -6 or 7 inches. Yeah, 3 6-footers here.
There you go. Hey, we fit.
That's cool. Look at that.
I'm surprised. I
Damn.
wasn't expecting that.
All right, so use my Rivian referral if you're gonna get one now.
There you go.
Let's see. How is this 6'2" guy gonna get out?
Hey, it can go up some more though, Sherman.
It could?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't sit back there, so I don't even know
He's
nothing.
trying to make it hard on me.
Second row, mine's always.
Oh, okay, yeah, there is room there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to make it hard on me.
Yeah, so I was a bit surprised. I wouldn't have known how big the third row was if it weren't for them sitting back there, but they said they were pretty comfortable. I mean, they probably wouldn't ride, a few hours in the back, but it is possible that you can fit 2 grown men in there over 6 feet tall. So very cool. I like that. Yeah, back here we have a sub trunk. You can get a spare tire, but it's not a full-size spare tire in the R1S. It's actually smaller, like it's a donut. Whereas in the R1T, you can get a full-size spare tire. There's a compartment on the bed for room for it. Now the rear opens with a lift gate and a tailgate. So you have the upper part as the lift gate, and I have a huge pet peeve on that coming up later. And then you have your tailgate right here. So you could actually sit on this. Now, it is not a powered tailgate, but the lift gate is powered. The rear has an air compressor and also has outlets and a cigarette lighter. 1500 watt max for the outlet. It's 110 volt and a 12 volt 180 watt max. Now these have folding down. More on that later, but it's not the third row seats. This is actually the second row seats. Now the Frunk is powered just like all Rivian models, all R1 models, and the Frunk storage is fairly big. There is a sub Frunk area, but this is where your charging cable bags go, as well as your air compressor hoses, a med kit, and this is your heat pump. So this doesn't exist in the Gen 1. So at least in the R1T, you have the entire sub Frunk area. In the R1S, I believe in the Gen 1, this area is reserved for like your med kit and air compressor hoses and stuff. So this part was already here in the Gen 1 from, if I can remember, for the R1S. But in the R1T, the Gen 1, this stuff is actually stored. There's a compartment in the gear tunnel door where these are stored. The sub Frunk in the R1T is completely empty. In the second gen R1T, I believe this is still there, the heat pump. So you sort of lose that area, but heat pump is always good to improve efficiency, especially in cold areas. You got these nice little pockets here that you can store many different things. I usually store tire gauge monitor, my Rivian badge, my San Gabriel Valley Rivian Club badge. I always forget where I put it whenever I go to the meetups, but it's there. And over here is where you would refill your windshield wiper fluid. You have your filter there, and in the Gen 1, the battery, the 12 volt battery was here, but I think now in the Gen 2, they're underneath the passenger seat, and we're gonna talk about that later. But yeah, they're underneath the passenger seat now. All right, so let's talk about driving it. I've driven it over 2,400 miles now in a little over 2 months. I've been driving it a lot, especially on the weekends and after work when I run errands. I enjoy driving it. I really like it. A couple of things I wanted to share with you about the driving experience. It is very comfortable. It has an air suspension. You could adjust the ride height. You could set the dampening of the suspension, the ride quality, adjust it and everything. So it's really nice. There's a few things I noticed, and I've mentioned this in the road trip video, things that you can and cannot do when driving. So when you're driving above 80 miles an hour, you cannot adjust your ride height. You cannot also adjust the ride height if you are enabling ADAS or Driver Plus or Driver Assist. You have to disable those before you can adjust the ride height. I also found that when you have the setting set to auto, when you get on the freeway or your highway, and you go above a certain speed, it will start to lower the ride height to low, from standard to low, to improve efficiency. The problem with that is, at least what I feel, is when it does do that, it kind of decreases the ride comfort. You're going to start to feel a little bit more of the road because you're at a lower stance. You also end up wearing out your tires a little bit more quicker because your camber, so when your ride height is lower, the angle of your tires, they tend to go this way, the camber. So the inner part of your tire gets worn more than having it more of a like an equal wear and tear on the thread of your tire. So do keep that in mind. It does improve efficiency, but your ride comfort may suffer and uneven tire wear may happen, or it will happen just because of the camber. So what I end up doing is I turn off auto and I adjust to standard height. And I wish there was a way to keep this like set, because every time the car goes to sleep and it wakes back up and I hop on the freeway, it's set to auto, and if I don't remember, then it's just gonna ride low. I do remember. Why? Because the ride starts to, I could feel it. I could feel the difference when I'm on the highway and I'm on low ride height. So I always turn off auto and I set the ride height back to standard. It improves the ride quality. Your wear on the tire thread will be a little bit better. But you do sacrifice a little bit of efficiency. I haven't really kept track, but on road trips, I think it's like 2% for that part of the trip. I think it's like less. I would lose about 2 to 5%. No, 5% is a little high. I think it's 2%. Don't quote me on that, but there is a little bit of a difference. So it's not a big deal to me because there are charging stations readily available. I'm not worried about it. The only time I would worry about it is if I have to go on an off-road trip and I have to really conserve energy and everything like that. We've already taken a few trips in the R1S and I've been loving it so far. Now the AC, at least in this build, is really good. I've heard people online talking about it and some people do have issues with it, but for me, I'm usually floating around 71 to 73 degrees Fahrenheit here in California with the summer, and with the ventilated seats, like that is a really comfortable temperature, where prior to this with the R1T, the Gen 1, I would be sitting around 68 to 69 degrees Fahrenheit and sometimes even lower. Now there are HVAC controls for the third row. Now this is only cool and recirculated air only, similar to the Model X, but what's different is there are controls for the third row. So far my son hasn't really complained. My young one, who loves to sit in the third row, he hasn't complained about being too hot back there. He stays there throughout our road trips. He did the same thing with the Model X, but with the Model Y third row, he can't. On the first gen Model Y 3-row 7-seater, he hates that third row. He'll be okay for the first 30 minutes, but beyond 30 minutes, he'll climb over and get back on the second row. The Model Y 3-row does not have vents. I don't know if the upcoming 6-seater has vents on the third row. I can't remember. But yeah, it's not that good. So this has multi-climate zone with controls for the third row, but it does only use the recirculated air and the cool air. No heated air. It just uses the cabin air. I didn't think the Matrix headlight was a big deal. I mean, it probably isn't, but having it on this car, having it on Juniper, I had it with my Model Y Performance. I never really used it on that one until recently. I'm like, man, the Matrix headlight is pretty cool. I like it. Cybertruck does not have it. maybe in the future, but I really like it. I enjoy it. I think it's very helpful, and I'm glad it's coming to more cars in the United States. Yes, I know the UK and the EU and the European countries, they've had it for quite some time, but I'm just glad that it's starting to become available in more cars here in the United States. Software update every month, y'all. Man, this car gets software updates every month. Lots of new features, lots of bug fixes, also lots of bugs, but at least it's like they're paying attention and they're providing the updates frequently. Tesla does have software updates, not on a monthly basis, but multiple times per quarter. But it's just that Tesla software is a little bit more refined, more matured. That's why it's not really necessary to have a monthly update in the Tesla. Rivian has good software. It's not up to the same level as Tesla. That's why you see a lot more updates, but I'm glad that they are doing it. They are addressing problems that are being reported. I do have a section in the dislike talking about some bugs that I'm still experiencing, but I want to mention that there are plenty of software updates coming in for the Rivian, the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. Gen 1s don't get as much anymore, but it does have features that Gen 2 have as part of even the more recent software updates. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the dynamic glass roof. This wasn't really much of a big deal to me until I started experiencing it. Now, someone did mention in the comment that you don't need the DGR, the digital glass roof, in order to take advantage of the improved heat rejection. Even if it's off, you can feel there's a difference with less heat coming in. But what I do like about the changing of the opaque colors and everything is you can block more light coming in during the daytime if you want without a roof shade. I am gonna be getting a roof shade to check out for the vehicle, so stay tuned for that video. But it is much improved as far as heat rejection compared to the Gen 1. Now, if you have a Gen 2 and you don't have the dynamic glass roof, do let me know in the comments if you do feel a difference. If you had a prior Gen 1, if you do feel a difference with the heat rejection and not even having the digital glass roof. So I wanted to mention that. I think it's great, a little pricey. I don't know if I would pay for it if I were to do it again. It just so happens that they had a little promotion going on when I picked up the car. So now the cars line up when I'm at a stoplight and it checks out the cars near and around me. They all line up on the screen behind the steering wheel. Unlike before, they're all like crooked and stuff. So thank you, Rivian, for improving that UI. Now, when you're parked overnight and Gear Guard Gary is on and enabled, low energy consumption, I see about a 1 to 2% energy loss overnight, 24-hour period even, because when we go to Vegas, like that's when I can detect it. In previous road trips with Tesla, I lose between 5, 6, 7%, all the way up to 10%, depending on which vehicle. Also depends on the amount of foot traffic. There's many different factors, but I noticed that Tesla will lose a little bit more energy when I'm parked at the parking structure with Sentry mode on versus Rivian's Gear Guard enabled. That's for both Gen 1 and Gen 2. Gen 2 is not any different. So I do lose less energy overnight if Gear Guard is on. So I always leave Sentry mode on and I always leave Gear Guard on. It's not a big energy penalty hit. And again, there's just many superchargers and charging stations around, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. I just have to be more prepared. Like before checking into the hotel, I gotta make sure I'm above a certain percent so that it covers me for the overnight parking. The Rivian Key Cards, they actually have, so these are the two that we have for the R1S. They have numbers on the bottom of these, or actually somewhere on the card, there's different numbers as identifiers. Tesla, they don't have it. So what I end up doing is I put painter's tape and labeling it. So why do I bring this up? If you are a multi-Rivian household, it's a great thing to have because you can identify which key cards belong to what. So even in the back, there's a drawing, like this is the R1S. So if you have an R1S or an R1T, I mean, you could determine by the back. But let's say you have two R1Ts. Let's say you have two R1Ss. You can match these numbers in the interface and it'll let you know which card is which. The Tesla one, the only way you can determine which key card is for what is the silhouette in the back. And you could only tell if it's a Cybertruck or if it's not a Cybertruck, because the Cybertruck, the silhouette is more triangular. But like the 3, the Y, the S, and the X, like they're all the same silhouette, so you can't really tell. There's no indicator. I mean, unless you put painter's tape and you specifically say key 1 for white Model Y and key 1 for black Model Y, I don't know. Then that's the only way to determine it. So it may not be a big deal to those who don't have multi-Rivian or multi-Tesla cars in the household. But to me, it's important. And you may not even bring the key cards anymore. Well, with Rivian, you sometimes have to know where these cards are because when you bring it into service, then yeah, you're gonna need these key cards. So hopefully they improve that and be able to remotely control your car when it is in the geofence like Tesla could. But I wanted to bring that up because I think it's a little detail that you get with Rivian key cards that somehow I wish Tesla would do something with their key cards. I like the turn signals. They're kind of like the JDM style where sequential. That's why I changed the Model Y fog lights and turn lights, front and rear, to sequential. I just like it. It's like a JDM style. So these are sequential now in the Gen 2. Also in the rear, you can adjust like the roadside lighting when your hazards are on. This is only on the Gen 2. You can have it set to say, go and go around me, go to my left. If I activate this, see there's an animation. Let's go take a look at it. Hopefully you could see that, but it's basically saying the lights to go to the left. And you could set that to go to the right. It's probably not a big feature to have, but until you actually need it, then you're like, oh man, that's a really neat feature. Luckily, I haven't found a need for it, but I think it's a neat feature. Also found in the Gen 2 are the LEDs front and back, where it displays your battery level when you're charging and it moves across, and it'll show you the current state of charge. So if there's like 50%, 5 of the LED bars are going to be lit and it's going to, you know, go across. Okay, so now let's talk about stuff that I don't like. So overall, the fit and finish is okay, but there are some misalignments with the doors. Yeah, I'm not sure if you could see it from this angle, but the driver door kind of pops out a little bit. Let's see if I could walk closer to it. I didn't really notice this during delivery, but I've noticed it as soon as I parked it in the garage. And yeah, I'm not really going to make a big deal out of it because it doesn't really affect the functionality of the door. It's not like, oh, I can't close it, I can't, you know, or it doesn't really affect the safety of it. It's mainly aesthetics. And to be honest with you, Tesla also has these problems. This is the new Model Y Juniper, and the front passenger door is kind of doing the same thing. It's like popped out a little bit. So when you bring it in for service and you talk about these bodywork, both Rivian and Tesla, they don't, at least with Tesla, they don't do it in-house. They actually have a third-party body shop that would take care of it. There are some Tesla service centers with like a body shop there, their own body shop, but most Tesla service centers don't have a body shop, so they will refer it and bring it to a third-party body shop that's authorized to do repairs and things like that. I think Rivian's fairly similar. So It's not a big deal. It doesn't affect functionality. It doesn't affect safety. At least I don't think it does. So I'm just gonna ignore it, and I'm just used to it. And I'm not just giving them a pass, but I worry that if you fiddle around with it, it may get worse. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm not saying that you should do the same thing. If you are not pleased with the build quality and you catch it during delivery, reject it. Reject it during delivery. They'll assign you a new VIN. It's no problem. It just depends on whether or not you're trying to catch a certain deal. If it's towards the end of a quarter, towards the end of the year, you may not get the same deal because it does take time for them to reassign you a VIN. And who knows if that next VIN will have a different issue. So all I'm saying is, yeah, just be aware of that and do what you got to do. But for me, I mean, I'm so used to it. As long as it doesn't affect the functionality, as I said before, or safety, I'm not even gonna bother with it. I don't expect these cars to be perfect. No car is perfect. But yeah, just be aware of that. As far as in the interior, I don't see any other issues inside in terms of just quality or malfunctions or anything out of the ordinary. So been pretty lucky with that. R1T was also like that. Hardly any issues interior wise. It's more on the exterior trims and things. So it's been mentioned plenty of times, not only by me, but also other people. Premium audio, it's not premium, but I could only imagine if I didn't pay for premium audio how much I'm not gonna say worse, but less capable it is. Music is important to me, and unfortunately, even though I paid for premium audio, it's not premium. I actually think that my Gen 1 R1T audio system is better than this one. And I didn't even have the Meridian system. I had the Elevation system. Now this also has Elevation, Rivian's in-house system, but it just doesn't sound as good. It's I'm not even gonna say satisfactory. Well, yeah, satisfactory. Satisfactory. I mean, I'm satisfied enough that, okay, I could enjoy the music, but just compared to Tesla, it's not even close. So hopefully they can do something in the future with updates, or maybe in V3 platform that they can improve that. I don't know. Or I could look into aftermarket, but being a lease, it's fine. But I wanted to share that with you. The next thing I want to talk about is the UI. It's been overall sluggish until V2025.26.30. This has been the most recent update. Man, if you don't have this yet, just wait. My goodness, it is a huge difference. Now, when you first turn on the car and start playing with the menus, the very first time, the menus do feel a little bit sluggish when you're jumping between different windows. But as soon as it loads up, the next time you press on those menus, it will come up a lot quicker. I think it just needs to cache or something like that. I don't really know how it works, but after the first time it loads, the next times that you load those windows, it's a lot more responsive. A lot. So even though it is on my dislike, I do want to mention prior to that update, the UI was just, it was pretty noticeably sluggish. Gen 1, even the Gen 2 with the improved hardware, it was sluggish until that update. So what are the bugs that still exist? Here's one big one that happens pretty often. So the profile will load. I get in the car, profile loads, it detects me because I could see my name on top of the window. But when I press on the brake pedal, my seat adjustments do not adjust from like the easy entry, easy exit mode. It stays there until I press on my profile name and then hit restore. Then my seats would go in very often. But the thing that bothers me a little bit though, the thing, man, the restore and the remember buttons are right on top of each other. And there was one time I hit remember, and what happened was it remembered my seat position for my profile as the easy entry and exit. And I'm like, oh no, I gotta reset my seat position again. I hit the wrong button because they're right on top of each other. So hopefully they fix this issue, this bug, because not everyone has it. But if you are having it, you could share my frustration and pain, right? So I just have to always remember, hit restore, not remember. Now this has been happening not only in the R1T, but also in the R1S. I'm streaming music from my phone via Bluetooth. I have an iPhone. And there's like static or interference sometimes. And I just can't figure out what it is. Sometimes I would like disconnect it, reconnect, it fixes it. Sometimes it doesn't fix it. So I don't know if there's some sort of just interference between the signals, or I don't know. And you may think that, oh, it's probably your phone. Probably right. But here's the thing. Same phone, but in my Tesla, Cybertruck, or Model Y, current and before, no issues that's like that. So it's not, I don't think because of that, it's not the Bluetooth on my phone. Maybe it's the frequency, but why does it happen with my previous R1T and the current R1S? I don't know. Could be a driver. Again, I'm not really familiar, but let me know if you are having those weird static interference just when you're streaming from Bluetooth. You may also suggest that why don't you just stream from the car? Well, I use YouTube Music as my music streaming service, and that's not the service that's part of or that's available with the UI. Tesla has that, and the problem I have with it is I have multiple profiles on YouTube, and I mentioned this on a Tesla video. I use my primary music profile is not my primary account for my YouTube profiles, and it defaults to the primary YouTube profile. So all my history and stuff is not selectable. You could only have one profile, and that's your main profile. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the problem I have. So the next bug that I'm getting is whenever I want to pre-cool the car remotely, I go into my app and I try to hit the climate control and hit the fan so that it cools down, so that when I get to the car, it's in a better temperature than what it was before. It times out a lot. So sometimes I would have to wake it up by unlocking and locking the car. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I just get that little couldn't turn on, something went wrong, please try again. So still needs improvement on their app and the communication between the vehicle and the phone app. I think that needs to get improved. Now, when I do get into Bluetooth range, then it works. But at that point, it's kind of pointless because I'm already next to the car and there's not going to be enough time to pre-cool that car because I'm right there. Next thing I want to talk about is that wireless charging. It's not any better than the Gen 1. It still sucks. Just charge with a cable. I don't know. Like there's this, in general, I'm probably biased, but I just don't like wireless charging in general. It just sucks. I've even noticed that when I set it down at 49%, I check a few minutes later, it's at 48% and my phone is hot. So it's losing charge and it heats up the phone. I don't know if you get that same experience, but I just don't use it. I don't use it. Just use a cable. It charges quicker. And yeah, man, wireless charging sucks. The next dislike is the button to unlock the door. I really wish they kept the manual door handles from the Gen 1. I just don't like it. Here's a big one. And I didn't even know. I thought I just had a broken liftgate. But apparently you can't set the custom height of the liftgate. I don't know if you could tell, but my garage door kind of slopes down a little bit. I really should adjust it. But regardless, I can't open the liftgate all the way up. It's gonna hit because there's like bars here. There's bars here. So yeah, you can't. You're like, no, hold down the button. No, you can't. Because I even checked the manual. No mention of it. I checked Reddit. People are mentioning this. There's no way to do it. In a Tesla, you can hold down the button and you'll hear an audible beep and it knows to stop there. And here's another cool thing with Tesla. In a more recent update, you could set the location of that custom height. So let's say you park your car in the garage at home and then you go to work and you also park it in some kind of a garage. There are different heights. You can set different heights by location for Tesla. You can't even do it at all with Rivian. So that is one of my biggest pet peeves, like a simple thing that unfortunately the R1S will not do, both Gen 1 and Gen 2. Wow. So this next section is everything in between. It doesn't fall under likes. It doesn't fall under dislikes. And the first thing I want to talk about is the charging. I've been keeping data on the charging times. I've been sharing with you all the charging experience that I've had with the R1S. Keep in mind the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. So these are both large packs. The R1T is a large pack and this is a large pack R1S. The size of the battery is actually different between Gen 1 and Gen 2. The Gen 1s actually have a larger battery pack, a larger kilowatt hour battery pack compared to the Gen 2. So these are smaller batteries, but the range hasn't really been impacted by it. It's still fairly the same. So they found a way to be more efficient. It could be the heat pump. It could be additional things that they've done to the Gen 2, but the battery sizes are different. It's much larger in the Gen 1. But I'm going to put up a spreadsheet of just charging times with the R1T and the R1S, the amount of kilowatt hours that were charged, all that stuff. And this is all on Rivian Adventure Network, not even Tesla Superchargers. And these are from road trips or I just needed to charge in the area. And so if you notice, like the per minute kilowatt hour is very similar, very similar. So in the beginning, initially, I thought, man, it's taking long to charge the Gen 2 R1S. But in reality, when I compare the two data, it isn't really that much of a difference considering the different battery sizes. So it's not an exact same amount of times, but if you just compare the battery size to the amount of time it takes to charge, it isn't off by that much. So charging performance, I guess I would say it's similar. The difference though is I end up like this thing would stop charging. It happened multiple times because of the battery temperature. I think you're in the red zone when you go above 131 degrees Fahrenheit. And I've reached that and beyond, and it would just stop charging. Southern California, Las Vegas, like we have pretty hot weather in the summertime. And I've reached those points that it just stops charging. So in the R1T, never happened once. So I think the cooling in the Gen 1s anyway are a bit better. But just comparing the numbers, nothing is scientific about these numbers. I'm just sharing with you all like the data that I've just collected. I wasn't trying to make one better than the other. It's just like, hey, I'm out here, I'm charging. Hey, I'm on a road trip, this is where I'm gonna charge. So I've only included the charging stops for Rivian Adventure Network. And I also, when I did the calculations, I told it to not include anything below 50 kilowatt hours charged to the battery because I wanted the longer period charging. So that's what I did, and the numbers are right here on the screen. So just sharing. I'm not saying like everyone's gonna have a different result, but it just gave me a better idea of like, okay, well, I guess they charge fairly the same, but the Gen 2 just does a lesser of a job, a worse job at heat management as far as battery goes. We'll see what happens in the winter, but even then, California winters aren't really winters, but it will be better, hopefully. So there is an option for Neo mode to be enabled when you put it in park. So a couple of things I've noticed. So as soon as you put it in park, it will enable Neo mode most of the time. But when you open your door, it actually stops. So I'm not gonna say it's a problem, but here's what usually happens. When I drop off either my parents or Abby at the front of the store entrance, then I'll put it in park so they can get out. It initiates the kneel mode, but the problem is they'll open the doors immediately and get out. So now it stops lowering. So kneel mode kind of doesn't be advantageous at that point because it stops lowering. So what are you gonna do? Just sit there and wait for kneel mode to finish and then get out? But what if there's cars you see what I'm saying? So this is why if you need to make adjustments to the ride height, I think having running boards will help so you don't always have to wait for kneel mode to finish. Now, one of you guys commented that like sport mode, setting your ride height to lowest is actually lower than kneel mode. But man, just to enable all that stuff, changing the ride mode or drive mode, yeah. So how would you improve this? I think what Rivian needs to do is just speed up the lowering of the ride height. I have the same experience with the Cybertruck. Happens the same way, but at least with the Cybertruck, the ride height lowering and increasing is a lot quicker. It's a lot quicker. So maybe speeding that up, but the immediate solution, at least for me, is get running boards just to help with getting in and out of the vehicle. Okay, so there's two storage areas that are not available in the Gen 2 R1S. The first one, I was a bit surprised, is the storage underneath the passenger seat. There is no storage. There is storage in the driver's seat, but there is no storage in the passenger seat. So here under the driver's side, we have that storage. It isn't much, but my R1T Gen 1 had it also. But in the Gen 2 R1S, no storage. It's probably because that's where the 12-volt battery is. I don't know. All right, we are in the third row, and these, no storage. No storage. Gen 1 Quad, I had a loaner a few times. They have storage. Gen 2 Tri that I did a demo drive has storage. And so I'm assuming the quad motor also has storage for the Gen 2. Now there are the USB-C chargers here. In the ones with the compartments, I believe the USB-C chargers are actually inside the compartment. But dual motor Gen 2 R1S, no storage. I think Gen 1 R1S dual motors may have the storage there, so they removed it. Okay, so there are a couple of campaigns, aka recalls, for the Gen 2. The first one is that 12-volt battery that I've been alluding to until now. Supposedly 75% of the R1s, the 2025 R1s, are affected. I called just to make sure that we're not part of it, and we're not part of it. I'm gonna put up a link to a web page on the Rivian website that lists all of their active recalls and stuff. So go check that out. There's also a website from the NHTSA where you could put your VIN number and it'll tell you what recalls are affecting your vehicle based on your VIN number. So sometimes the recalls are not up to date and they just have these internal campaigns and you may get contacted. But these are official recalls that have been reported to the NHTSA. Now, one of the things that was fixed from the more recent update is the issue that displays inaccurate efficiency and energy consumption for trip A and trip B. I had this issue and I'm pretty bummed. I had to reset my lifetime numbers because it just wouldn't change. I'm so bummed. So I don't have data now until starting 2,000 miles, somewhere around there. So I'm pretty bummed. So, but it was fixed on the more recent update at 0.87 miles per kilowatt hour. So that I was like, man, that's pretty low. But then I drove for 6 miles and I'm like, why is it not changing? It should have at least improved. Yeah, so I'm pretty bummed about that. But the next thing I want to talk about though is Rivian Roamer. This is not a sponsored video. And so Rivian Roamer is created by Chad and a fellow Rivian owner. And so I wanted to mention this because this product is really cool. He's very familiar with Rivian and the technology that they use. Currently it's in beta, but if you use my invite link, as soon as it becomes available, you will be notified so you can go and create an account and check it out. But basically you connect your Rivian account to this service, and he's been working with Rivian to make sure it meets their standards. There's a deployment status, so check this out, of how many people have received the current like software update. Like there's all these statistics. It's pretty cool. So let's say you don't pay for like the Connect Plus subscription, because Connect Plus, you have like priority, or you're given priority to receive the update. So that's one of the benefits of paying for that subscription, the Connect Plus subscription. But in the Gen 1, I didn't pay for that subscription because it's a Gen 1 and it just has old hardware, and there was just things that I'm like, I'm not really going to use that. But being that it's a Gen 2, I am going to probably subscribe to it and just get the priority on those updates. Eventually I get them. If I don't have the Connect Plus, I eventually get them. But if you are curious, it'll give you stats on how many like cars have the updates been installed on, and so you don't feel left behind or anything like that. Or if you're wondering, man, it's been 20 days, I haven't gotten the update. Well, it'll tell you who else hasn't gotten the update. Easy on the energy consumption. Like there's no effect at all if you add this service. So I'm gonna share some screenshots of some things, some of the data that it collects. He built it with privacy in mind and security. So if you are interested, I have a link in the video description, and you will be contacted once it's out of beta. So the next thing is, I do sometimes feel teeter-tottering within the lanes. I watched this out of spec video regarding their R1S, and Kyle mentioned that they had a similar issue or similar driving experience until they swapped out the tires. They also had the all-season tires, and he thinks that there may have been a bad batch because when they switched out the tires to all-terrains, they no longer experienced that issue. So I am planning to get some new wheels and off-road tires, some all-terrain tires, so maybe it'll fix that. We'll see. This one I'm excited for. Apple Car Key has been announced, and unfortunately it's Gen 2 only, simply because of hardware limitations of the Gen 1. If you're wondering what that is, I'll put links to articles in the video description, but it's pretty much another way to unlock your car or have access to your car with your phone. It has been mentioned that it's not only for the iPhone but also Android devices. And key sharing, folks, key sharing. That is one of those things that I've always complained about, I guess, where if I want my friends to borrow my Rivian, I have to go through this invite process, and it's just, But once this comes out, you can just share the key via phone through a text message, or it's gonna be really cool. I'm very excited. I don't know much about it, but again, check out the links in the video description if you want to read more into it. So here are some suggestions for improvements for the Rivian R1 platform. When I unbuckle my seatbelt, I would love for it to just put it in park instead of just keeping it in drive. The new Model Y Juniper does it. The Cybertruck Model S and X does it. At least for the S and the X, the newer refresh ones does it. Pretty much all of the Teslas that have the swipe to drive feature, as soon as you unbuckle your seatbelt, it puts it in park. I think it's very, very convenient, and I wish Rivian would do the same for their R1s. Maybe the R2 will do that, who knows, but just a suggestion. Powered rear seat folding, actually all seats folding. It does have the buttons that does it, but it's not powered. It will fold down the second row, but it will not come back up. My Model Y Juniper has it. It's great, but I rarely use it for the Model Y. But in the R1S, I do use it far more frequently than I do with the Model Y. And it's hard to just reach in there and pull things up. So for the price of the car, I think it should have been included as a feature at no additional cost. But right now, there is no feature. There is no option for that. So hopefully in the future, they will add that. Adjusting the pedal feedback, I've always mentioned this. It just feels like the accelerator pedal is heavy and it increases fatigue for me at least. So maybe having a way to adjust it or adjust it, period. Now, it is great when you're going on off-road. Then it's great to have that feel, that feedback, that aggressive feedback. But when you're not off-roading, it's a little bit more tiring, at least for me. So hopefully there's a way that they'll improve that, or maybe find a setting that you could adjust it. I don't know. Speaking of adjustments, adjusting the steering wheel resistance, there is none. Tesla has a way to set that, but the Rivian doesn't. I'm not saying it's hard to turn or anything like that, but again, it's one of those things that would be a pretty cool option to have to adjust it. Just because my Tesla has it, I wish Rivian had it. Make 20-inch all-season or all-terrain be standard at no additional cost. Let the owners or buyers pick. Okay, 20-inch, done. You want all seasons or all terrains, no additional cost. Don't make the 22-inch be the standard. Come on, man. Make the 22-inch wheels be an added option that you have to pay for. So that's just my opinion. And then you can charge, all that stuff. You could still do like an off-road all-terrain package as an additional cost by adding the armor, the underbody armor and the spare tire. But dude, come on, 20-inch wheels for free, and you get to choose whether you want all seasons or all terrains. I think that would be a good move if they do that. Displaying the battery temps even during charging. I think that would be a cool thing to have. Allow ride height adjustments from the phone. Again, it's just something that Cybertruck does, Tesla does. So I wish that I could do it from the phone to adjust the ride height of the Rivian. Improve the horn. Just improve the horn sound. I don't know. Improve communication between phone app and car. There's just some lag, okay? So, and it's noticeable, and it happens frequently. Maybe this is how they conserve all that energy when it's parked. It just puts it in a sleep and just takes time for it to wake up. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, when I want to turn on the climate controls to pre-cool it, like there's a good number of times it just doesn't work. Ability to have entertainment on the rear screen. It's not an issue because my kids have their own devices. It's one of those things, again, my Tesla has it. The rear screen has entertainment available in the back. But if your kids have their own devices, it's not a big deal. But it's just one of those things like, well, if Tesla has it, Rivian should have it. But that's it for this video. Once again, shout out to those who have been using my referral links. I noticed you guys are taking delivery, so congratulations to you all. I've recently picked up the awning thanks to you all who've used my referral, because I got the awning, so I'm going to be installing that. I also picked up the roof racks. I actually had the roof racks when I had the R1T. I just never installed it. But again, because of people who use my referrals, I picked up the blacked out roof rack. So I'm going to be installing that as well. I need to, because if I want the awning installed, you need the roof rack. I'm trying to do some things with 1EV wheels. I'm going to probably pick up some wheels from them and do some sponsored content. And just more on that later once things settle down and things are figured out. But along with those wheels, I need tires. So don't let these good looks fool you. I gotta save up money. I just can't buy things like that. But I am very excited to try out those things and share them with you and also use them. And yeah, That's it for this video. If you are considering getting a Rivian or a Tesla, I have referral links in the video description. Once again, thank you to those who have used my referral links. I end up spending them anyway on things that are a subscription that I could use for content in the channel, or additional accessories that I also review and use for the channel. So it all comes back to the channel. But man, really appreciate that. And all of the feedback. Man, it's just, look, we're almost at 3,000 subs. Oh my goodness, man. Thank you. Thank you for all the support. Welcome to all those new subscribers. I hope you all are enjoying the content as much as I enjoy making it. So if you like the video, please like. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And I will see you on the next one.